like to welcome you to the Republic Business and Professional Women Candidates Forum. My name is Patrice Becker, and I'm the president of the Republic Society. Let's begin the evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could all stand, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to thank all of you for attending this candidates forum this evening. The business and professional women hold this forum as a service to our community and to give the candidates a platform and to have the electorate be informed. I'm going to tell you a little brief statement about the Republic Business and Professional Women. We are a proud part of the Ferry County community and of BPW Washington. We are a network of service-minded people who believe that great things happen when dedicated minds come together. We are community and business leaders representing different professions, experiences, and perspectives with a shared desire to positively affect our community. There are several BPW members here this evening, so if you have any questions, please seek one of them out. I'd like to especially thank the candidates for coming tonight and for their willingness to run and serve our community. At the conclusion of this event, please stay and enjoy some refreshments as you maybe ask the candidates some personal one-on-one questions. I will now turn the program over to our moderator, Betty Buckley.
Yay, Patrice! Hey, good evening, everyone. I want to point out one of the awkward things we're going to have this evening, which is a wired mic. That's going to be a lot of fun. But I'm Betty Buckley, and I have had the pleasure and honor of moderating this event for the last several rounds. So I wanted to go over the ground rules of how we're going to do it. We're bringing people up in groups this year according to how the auditor's spreadsheet worked. That's the decision I made. It's a decision I didn't really have to make. We take questions in writing only. No just yelling things out from the floor. You do that, I'm going to have my husband haul you out of here. It's going to be embarrassing, so please don't do that. We have a lot of questions already written, but we have some pieces of paper. If something pops into your head partway through and you think, I really need to know that, please feel free to, we'll have people coming around offering pieces of paper too. I encourage you to ask insightful, difficult, hard questions. But what I don't encourage you to do is to ask questions about somebody's grandmother did a Madonna's 10 years ago. None of those. Your question needs to be relevant to what this person is going to be doing in the office for which that individual is running. Make sense? The candidates will come up in groups. We're going to start with hospital commissioners. And we have a time limit set. Each individual will get 3 minutes to do an introduction. As I was reassuring somebody earlier today, no, you don't have to take the entire 3 minutes. If you can be succinct and do it in 15 seconds, I love you even more. So after that, we'll start with questions. We have a group in the back who is sorting the questions and making sure that they are relevant. They'll bring them up to me, and we'll try to get through as many of them as we possibly can. I'm going to give about a half an hour per group, depending on how many questions we end up with. The questions will be asked. I'll get to read them, and people will get 2 minutes to answer the questions. Catherine in the back, our lovely timekeeper, will make it very clear when you have 1 minute left, and then if you try to go over that, I will take your microphone away. I may be little, but trust me, just ask my husband, I'm mean. So, not a problem. Am I forgetting anything, gang? I think those are the basic rules. Did I forget something?
No.
Yes?
Would anybody like to have pen and paper now
Oh,
for
good
questions that might come up later?
Anybody have questions already that they haven't turned in?
And the other thing that I should point out is, please turn your phones off. Which means the minute I turn the mic over to somebody else, I'm going to be double checking to make sure I turn my phone off. All right, with that, all 4 individuals who are running for hospital commissioner said they would be here this evening. Unfortunately, one of them is not here. So I think we have Nancy and Sarah Curlew. If you'd come up, please. All right, who's grabbing? 3 minutes. You can stand, you can sit. Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you BPW for hosting this event. For those who don't know me, my name is Sarah Krause, and I'm running to retain my position as hospital commissioner. As your representative, I've been serving Ferry County residents on the hospital board for 7 years. Currently, I serve on the finance and compliance committees, and prior to that, I served on quality improvement and patient and family advisory council. I worked as a social worker in Okanogan, Ferry, and Stevens County for 18 years in the healthcare field. I'm a lifelong resident of Ferry County. I graduated from Republic High School and hold a bachelor's degree in social work from Washington State University. I've always felt that it's been important to be involved in your community. I've served on several levy committees. I've also been the co-chair of the bond committee that built this building we're in tonight. I've been a 4-H leader. I've been on the fair board for 19 years, and currently I am the treasurer of Republic Youth Softball. In the past 6 to 7 years, our hospital has achieved positive financial margins and still continues to do so today. While many rural hospitals are closing. When a rural hospital closes, a community dies. I attended a national hospital conference in 2017. At that time, we had 16 days cash on hand, and today we have 68. We have lowered our days in accounts receivable, so our cash flow is more predictable. Our positive financial margins have allowed us to reopen healthcare services in the Curlew community. We have established a stable, certified, competent medical staff, which has allowed us to increase our day surgery options and inpatient days. We have effectively used CARES monies for a number of much-needed items, including tiny homes for staff housing, updated safety equipment to prevent the spread of airborne illnesses to protect our staff and patients. Most recently, we provided monies to the airport for upgrades for fixed-wing transports. We have brought staffing salaries more in line with state salaries for staff retention and professional development. Thank you in advance for your vote of confidence that will allow me to continue serving you and ensure continued improvements and growth to Ferry County Health so we can be your partners in health. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, I'm Nancy Churchill, and I'm running for Hospital Board Position 2. Ferry County is evolving with older retirees moving in. We need to band together and work as a team to manifest the best possible rural health care system. Our county must provide great health care for everyone, and especially for new retirees. Our hospital district is one of our biggest employers, so it must also be an attractive and positive place to work. This election is an opportunity to become better prepared for the future. This current status quo with apology letters is not good enough for our community today or in the future. The hospital is or should be a service-oriented business. Okay service is not good enough to support our seniors and help them remain in the county rather than needing to travel long distances for routine health care that they would normally receive here. Shorter wait times for appointments, consistent service providers, and drug refill availability are all very important issues for the voters that I've spoken to. Better management of pharmacy inventory is needed with consideration of the long distances people have to travel and the cost of gas. Finally, we need an open and respectful conversation about the breaking of trust and the pitting of neighbor against neighbor during the COVID crisis. This problem has not been addressed at all, and in fact, some in the healthcare district and the hospital district seem genuinely confused about the public's lack of trust in the hospital and healthcare system post-pandemic. The fact is, some were forced against their will to participate in a massive medical experiment, some were denied care, elders died alone rather than holding the hands of their loved ones. Families in crisis were separated at the worst times in their lives. What happened to the public that we serve was unacceptable, and we must work together to do better in the future. We have to talk about the problem and develop better solutions together as a community. We must provide compassionate care for everyone, not just to the people who make government-approved choices. We must be transparent with our community about the choices that we do make as we navigate regulations in the future. We don't want to elevate money above our morality, above our compassion, or above the freedom of our neighbors. Being well-funded and well-managed is extremely important, but if we follow our moral compass and focus on caring for and listening to our neighbors, we'll find better solutions for the future. If you select me for hospital commissioner, I will be your voice on the hospital board. I'll take your calls and I'll voice your concerns. My name is Nancy Churchill, and I'd appreciate your vote for hospital board commissioner. Thank you very much.
If you don't mind, I'll sit. I don't stand so good now, but I can get around, and I still, one thing about being an accountant, you can still think when you can't walk very well. I've been on the hospital board since 2006 after the accident that took LMA root from us. I had been a commissioner, and I remember when I was running for commissioner, I was at a pinnacle group, and I happened to look around, and I could see these people, my fellow Republic citizens, had been living together and getting along for generations. Some of them were in their 90s, and some of them were, at that time, I might have been 50. But we managed, we don't always agree, but we usually get along. And you can still get together and be friends, even though you don't agree. The thing that I found disturbing about the whole episode with regard to the COVID crisis, which is what I would be criticized for now, but we didn't lose anybody in our hospital that were the residents. The problem was much of the COVID thing that was so scary was people were just dying right and left in places like nursing homes. We aren't officially a nursing home, but we perform that function here, and we have the assisted living. When I go out and talk to the senior citizen group that I have been working with, the aging and long-term care, I brag about us because we kind of have a system that moves you along into the level of care that you need, and then if we don't have enough capacity, but with the hospital that's now flourishing, we can we can build that capacity. We have built a lot of capacity. We have things that you wouldn't expect to have. And it's all because we're finally have the bottom line. And that bottom line is doing things like giving us some of the best CAT scans and MRIs and all the things that we need. For, face it, we're an emergency place. If somebody's really, really sick, we send them on to more equipped places. But I was looking at my history, and I've had at least 3 or 4 life or death occurrences. And we've always gotten there. So I have to go now. It doesn't, 3 minutes goes by very quickly.
Yes, it does. All right, thank you.
We're going to circulate with some pieces of paper if anyone wants them. And I am going to be receiving some questions in just un momento.
Okay.
All right, this is where we start having fun with the microphone. For each of you, why are you running for this position and what skills do you bring?
I'm running for this position because I feel that the hospital's made headway. We're in the black now, and this hospital is very important to me. I'm from here. I live here. My kids were born here. My parents passed away in that facility. It's part of me. I was in an accident when I was a teenager, and if it wasn't for that hospital, I would have died. And I think I'm a good team member, and I bring a lot of perspective from my job history into the board.
Thank you. I'm running for hospital board because I got very concerned about the way the COVID pandemic was handled in particular. I got more and more interested in healthcare. I also got appointed to a Citizens Advisory Board, which is part of my skill set that I bring here. This is a Citizens Advisory Board for the Northeast Tri-County Health District. We meet once a week, or once a month with the Health District to kind of help them plan for the future and run by things that they're developing, like they've been developing a plan for Group B water systems, so that we get a preview of those types of things, give them feedback. So that's one of the things that the skill sets that I bring is I understand the limits of a board, what a board can achieve, and also I have a lot of contacts throughout Northeast Tri-County Health District. I also serve in a volunteer capacity at the Northeast Washington's library system, and I've been elected to chair that board this year. Travel down to Wenatchee once a month to attend that. And I also have been active in the planning commission. So I have a lot of volunteer service community service experience here in Ferry County. I love the county. I want the very best for all of the citizens of Ferry County. And I think I could have a positive impact on this board.
By the way, folks, I'm sorry, Ron, to interrupt. Let's not, if we applaud after everybody speaks, we're going to be here all night. If you want to be here all night, that's up to you.
Is this a better?
A little bit closer.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want me. Okay. What do I bring to the hospital board? An honors degree in accounting might help. Especially we were months from closing at one point. We're not that way anymore. Those are results that you can't argue about. We have a much more well-equipped hospital than we've ever had. We have more doctors than we've ever had, and very well-trained doctors. We have a large staff of PAs and ARNPs to meet the need. A lot of you do remember when you had people like Dr. McConnell, the only guy in town, and then many times we had 2 doctors. And they were running ragged. They'd do the emergency room, they'd do the clinic, they'd make house calls. I remember when my sister died, and Dr. Stevenson came down, and I'll never forget handing her off to him. I remember when I was in a car accident, and they backed the ambulance up to the, the ambulance up to the door to the old hospital, and he climbed in there and set me up to be sent off to Spokane, and I got worried about my wallet and turned it over and pulled out all the IVs. And he climbed in and sent me off to Spokane. When I had my stroke, they got me there in time for them to decide what type of treatment I should have. So I really think about this hospital as a necessary thing in our community, without which it would be very hard to live here, let alone retire here. Okay.
Why don't you hold on to the microphone? I have a question. I guess it's really for you and for you, Sarah. And I guess I need the microphone. I hate wired mics. Did anyone tell me that?
Can you talk to the fact that the hospital seems heavy on administration and low on health personnel?
Well, 4 doctors in the emergency room is a high for us. And you have no idea how complicated the bookkeeping for Medicare is, and the kind of crap we have to deal with, and the lovely drug things with regard to the opioid crisis. And that's completely a voluntary crisis. But we still have to deal with it, and we have to treat with it. There are also our neighbors and some of our friends. But,
Okay. Thank you.
When I got on the board, I kind of had that same feeling that maybe we were a little heavy in administrative staff, but after being on the board, I realized how difficult and how complicated running a hospital is. And we are always short on nurses. It is a problem that we've had and that we're probably always going to have. We try to staff our facility the best that we can. And we have competent, certified doctors, and we have a very, very well-trained staff. And we are always looking for nurses. So if anybody out there knows a nurse who wants to come here, please give them the word, because we are always looking for nurses.
Could you pass it to Nancy, please? Oh, yes.
Where is my microphone? Nancy Churchill, you have stated publicly that you feel reliance on experts is misguided. How then would you advise clinical staff to make treatment decisions without reliance on experts?
Well, that's an interesting question, and thank you to whoever asked it. I don't know that that's an accurate understanding of what I stated. I know that even today, there was an article in the New York Times talking about systems and the way that a hospital system works. It's definitely staffed by experts, and we do have good experts here. But the question stated by the New York Times was, is America losing faith in their healthcare systems, and why would that be? And the reason that people are losing faith in their experts in their healthcare system is at the very highest level, some of those experts have lied to us, and lied to us repeatedly. And these systems in our communities The article, the New York Times article, I don't think I have the reference here. I'm happy to share you a link to it. It was in today's paper. That article was talking about access points to systems and how important your faith in those access points was in order for you to trust that system. So the access point could be Dr. Fauci, who we have come to understand has not been entirely truthful with the American public over multiple topics, or that access point could be your doctor, and whether or not you feel like your doctor has been completely honest about whatever he's treating you with. I think our doctors do a pretty good job here, but unfortunately they were constrained by the mandates that came down from above to do certain things that maybe they would have preferred not to do. So thank you very much. That's my minute. I hope I answered your question, and I'm happy to talk to you afterward.
Thank you.
Ron has questions for you. Why does it take 5 weeks to see the doctor?
I have no idea why it takes 5 weeks. It doesn't usually take me that long, but maybe I plan ahead. I don't know. If you have an emergency, it doesn't take any time at all.
Thank you.
This is for Ron and for Nancy. Please describe your experience working with large, complicated budgets such as the one at the hospital.
Sure, thank you very much. As part of my work with the North Central Washington Libraries District, I have a chance to evaluate their very large budget every month. We're a 5-county library district, serving not just Ferry, but Okanogan, Grant, Chelan, and Douglas counties. The budget for the library district is about, I think it's $15 to $16 million this year. It's a very large budget. We go over both the revenue side of the budget and the expense side of the budget, sometimes with a fine-tooth comb. We have a number of capital building projects going on in the library district. So I'm very familiar with working with budgets, which are quite large. Thank you.
When I was working in Spokane, I was in charge of a $20 million car dealership. I worked with budgets at an insurance pool in Spokane also. And up here, when I was a commissioner, of course, the county budget. So I've been involved in budgets since I had a stroke around here. I'm also familiar with things like Medicare. Medicare, you have to sign up for, and you do an application that's like a fistful of pages long for just like 1 or 2 items on a page, and it's just a laborious process. When I took over the county for the EMT, it took us about 4 months to get that thing in, and our first check from them was over $100,000. So I'm familiar with working that stuff. I also was on the Aging and Long-Term Care Governing Board and Advisory Board. And those budgets go from like $6 million to $20 million now. So I'm used to dealing with budgets. The more interesting thing is that you are looking for problems. Every time I get a statement, I'm looking for does this make sense? And that's a different prospect. You can get a budget and say, oh, this is what that says, okay. Well, you're always trying to figure out what should it be, and is it doing what you expect it to do? And that actually yields some pretty good results. As Sarah pointed out, we've gone from under 100 days to occasionally 100 days of cash on hand. That means we can pay our bills without question, and that's really important when at one time we didn't have $1,000. So.
All right, this is for all the candidates. What do you see as the greatest need for the hospital?
Stable staffing. You can't do anything without people, and good people. And they have to get along, and they have to do their job. There have been times when I found people gold drinking somewhere, and they aren't with us anymore. Everybody there now, I see people are all pulling the same direction now. It wasn't always the case. We have to work together.
Thank you. I actually agree with Ron. I think staffing is one of our most critical issues. I've been doing some calling around the county using a system that automatically calls people. It's random. I don't know who I'm going to talk to until they pick up. But it's been a very interesting experience. And over again, I hear concerns about staffing. Why don't we have more staff? Why does it take so long to get an appointment? Like the 5-week question. I've heard concerns about the pharmacy. It's a really sad story about a gentleman who has a regular prescription, comes into the pharmacy to pick it up, only has 2 days supply of a 30-day prescription. He's told to come back in 2 days because they don't have it all. They can't fill his prescription. And he's like, it's a 30-mile drive into Republic. I can't do that drive into every 2 days. So there's issues like pharmacy inventory. There's issues like staffing, getting into an appointment. I think in general, the people we have on staff they're good people. I hear lots of comments about the good care, but the complaints that I'm hearing are more administrative type complaints where we just don't have enough people, and that's not going to be an easy problem to solve. I spent the summer in Middle Tennessee on a family emergency, and in Tennessee, they are having these same staffing problems that we're having. They're having the same problems of lots of temporary workers, and when we have to hire temporary, that drives up our expenses for the hospital district. We really want to attract permanent people. How do we attract permanent people? We don't have enough housing for permanent people. It's a Jenga puzzle trying to figure out how do we attract people to Ferry County, how do we retain people to Ferry County. So I do agree that's a big issue that we have to solve.
I think stable staffing is probably the most needed thing that we need in our district. Just recently at the clinic, we've hired 2 new nurse practitioners that will start taking on a full patient load. We did have a period of time where we were short 2 providers because one had to leave due to surgery and the other one's retired unexpectedly. She retired faster than anybody thought. They sold their house and they were gone. And stable staffing is a nationwide problem, especially after the pandemic. And we have worked so hard to build the culture of ownership in our facility so people want to come to work. They choose to work here because they want to be part of something that we feel is pretty great.
Thank you.
All right, Nancy, this question is for you. Thanks to your articles in The View, which many interpret to be mean-spirited, you've established yourself as one of the most divisive people in our community. How can you refer to yourself as a bridge builder?
Thank you. When I write for The View, I'm writing not just for myself. I don't write for me, and I don't write to be divisive. So if people are reading that and perceiving it as divisive, that's on the reader. My intention is to speak for people who do not have the ability to speak for themselves. They don't have my ability to communicate. They don't have the ability in their life or their situation or their work to say difficult things. One of the things that I'm able to do is I'm able to talk about difficult subjects in a polite and respectful way to a variety of people, and I am able to listen to people and respect their opinions. So it's very important to have diverse opinions on our hospital board. Our current hospital board, they've done a great job. I thank them for their public service, but they've got a bad case of groupthink. They've been together a long time, they all think alike, and the entire community is not being represented. If you want a board that's diverse and equitable and inclusive, you have to bring all viewpoints to the table. You have to include everyone in the community, not just the right thinkers, and you have to honor all points of view, not just some points of view. And I'm not afraid to stand up and ask to be listened to, even if it's uncomfortable to listen to certain opinions. Thank you.
This is for Nancy and actually Sarah's opponent, who unfortunately isn't with us this evening. Your opponent has played an integral part in the financial turnaround of the hospital over the past 6 years. What will you bring to the board to continue or improve the situation of the hospital?
Thank you, and I'm really flattered by all the great questions. Thank you, everybody. I have a different skill set. I think that Ron has brought a great financial background to the board, and he's done an awesome job in his time on the board. I have different skills. I have a skill in communicating. I have a skill in understanding lots of complex information. I have a skill at bridge building. One of the things that I did, it's taken more than a year. In September of 22, a friend of mine who's in the audience emailed me about a problem her daughter was having getting tested for a CNA, a certified nursing assistant. There was a problem with the state's system of testing where people would schedule those tests, they'd show up to take them and find out the test was canceled. Sometimes they had to travel across the state to do these tests, and then the test would be canceled. So, and then they were on the hook to pay their employer for the education if they didn't take the test within a certain time window. So people were getting in a pinch because they couldn't do this testing. So I got this email from my friend. I reached out to Matt Shentz on the Board of Health because of my work with the Citizens Advisory Board. And I reached out to Ferry County Extension, worked with them. Had many emails back and forth. What can we do? How can we solve this testing problem? And Matt Shantz brought in Mike Martinoli. He grabbed the ball from us, and now we have a testing program, a CNA testing program. That's the type of bridge building and relationship building that I can do. It kind of happens behind the scenes. It doesn't always have to happen in a board meeting. A lot of what's accomplished by the board meetings gets happen on a person-to-person relationship building way when you work with other members in the community. So those are the skills I can bring to the hospital board.
Sarah, I'm going to give this one to you. We're running out of time, so I'm going to abbreviate things a little bit here. We're not going to get through all the questions, but I'm trying. How will you work to upgrade our system for better communication, such as implementing MyChart?
Well, MyChart has been was a patient portal, and it has been kind of a nightmare, but we do have a new EMR, and hopefully that we're working through some processes and everything. And we do have tracking now in the clinic. We can track how many phone calls come in, we can track how many phone calls have been answered by real people, and we can track how many calls in a day were returned. And I think that will help us pinpoint where our problems with communication is.
What's EMR?
Electronic medical record system. And this new one that we have has a patient portal, my chart built in it. So we're not having to rebuild that component.
Nancy, the compliments just keep on coming. Knowing that clinical medical policy is not the duty of the Board of Commissioners, would you be able to leave the medical decisions and policies of Ferry County Health to the medically trained and licensed personnel? And if the state or federal government mandates certain health safety requirements for healthcare facilities, will you comply with and support the scientifically based directives for the greater good?
Thank you very much for this great question. The function of the board, the role of the board, whether it's a school board, a hospital board, library board, we do a number of tasks. If we need to hire an executive, we do. Then the next task that we do is we look at to oversee the financial operations of the public entity, whatever that is. And then the next place that we have a type of input, we usually get staff reports, so we know how the facility is being done and what's being done to improve the facility services. And then the very last thing that the board can have input on is policy. So, and in the case of a hospital, there's different types of policies. Same thing's true like in the library board or the school board. You have the internal policy that the executive team or the medical team creates for their staff. And then you kind of have the greater policies of the entity itself. Policies that the board will abide by, policies that are set in order to provide great health care for the system. Those are the types of policies that the hospital board commissioners would have the most input on. I'm very aware that a lot of the policies that were set during the crisis were mandated and forced upon us. They might not have been the policies that our people would have chosen to create if they had had a choice. They didn't have a choice, and I'm very aware that we don't know what we don't know and what difficult choices were forced upon them. But having said that, I have to say that it's very important that we have a voice on the board that will speak for you. If you have concerns about what's happening, what the policies are that are being set, we at least need to have the conversation about those policies.
This is kind of a part B to that question. Your campaign material states no mandates. If you're elected to the board of Ferry County Health, would you be willing to give up Medicare and Medicaid payments in order to have no federal mandates?
Thank you. Another very good question. So this falls under the system is broken theme that I think we need to have a very public conversation about. I don't have all the answers to how to fix our healthcare system. It's broken. It's broken from the top down. It's broken because of Big Pharma. It's broken because of Medicare and Medicaid. It's broken because of big insurance. It's broken because of government mandates. There's so many challenges. There's so many constraints built into our running of our hospital system that it's a miracle we have one at all. And kudos to the people who make that happen. But there's a balance. I think we have to, at some point, need to be willing to say, push back up the bureaucratic ladder and say, that's not okay in our community. And we need to be able to start having the conversation among ourselves within our community, this question of, okay, we have to, in order to get Medicare and Medicaid, we have to do that. We're going to make sure everybody in our hospital district understands that, And we're going to come up with creative healthcare solutions for the people who cannot or will not comply with mandates. So we should be able to serve every single citizen in the Ferry County Health District, regardless of whether or not they can or will comply with the mandate. Some people can't. Some people have medical reasons why they can't wear a mask, why they can't take a shot. It's just what it is, and those people need to be accommodated somehow, some way, and we have to talk about the problem to solve the problem.
So I'm going to give Ron one question, and I'm going to give Sarah one question, and I'm going to give you 1 minute to answer it because I've let this go on probably for too long, but there's so many great questions. So Ron, how exactly did the district get back in the black? 1 minute, sir.
Mhm. It's been such a long time that it's hard to say all the things that we've done. But the most important thing is that you have to match your staffing to the type of business that you have, so that the amount that you have to play the game, and the game is weighed against us with insurance people, and with Medicare and Medicaid and all that. I mean, Medicaid hardly pays anything. Medicare, we happen to be, basically you have to play the game and you have to know what the game is. If you don't know what the game is, you can't give it.
Thank you. Okay. Sarah, you have addressed senior care, but seniors aren't the only citizens in the county. What plans do you have to attract younger patients who are willing to travel to their doctors in larger cities?
Well, we don't have, people don't have their babies here anymore because we don't have that service. And so we just need to make an extra effort to see younger children. Because what happens is you get tied up in going to see the OBGYN you had your baby with, and then pretty soon, the kid's 5 years old and you're still going there. So we just have to make an extra effort to have younger patients seen in our clinic. I don't know basically how we're going to do that, but hopefully they'll come in.
Well, please everyone give these guys a round of applause. This is not an easy thing to do. So I do apologize that we didn't get through all of your questions. And now we're going to go with candidates for mayor and candidates for city council. Yeah. And everybody can stand up for just a moment and have a little bit of a stretch break while we're switching out. We just have. Spark is holding up pieces of paper in case anyone needs to. All right, who I need up right now is Gabriel, Gina. Mary Jo. Would those three individuals come up front, please? All right, will everyone take a seat again, please? I want to thank the Ferry County Youth for recording this evening. My mother will never forgive me for not having more makeup tonight, now that I know that. Oh, well. So each of you will get 3 minutes to give an opening statement, and then we have some questions. So we'll just start there.
And remember that Catherine's back there with your
Hi, my name's Mary Jo Olson. I'm running for City Council, obviously. So I've lived in Republic for about 20 years. My husband and I own MJ's adult family home. We've been running it for about the last 10 years here in Republic. And the reason I'm running for City Council is because Republic has been great to me and my husband, and I want to give back. I have the time now, and I have some experience and some things that I really want to do and that I feel I can do for you guys. So that's the first reason I want to run. The second reason I want to run is because I feel like we need a way to get things accomplished. So a few months ago, about 8, 9 months ago, I found out that fire hydrants weren't working in town, some of them. One was close to my house. So I went to City Council and I said, why did this happen? When are we going to fix them? How are we going to prevent this from happening again? City Council didn't really have any answers due to shortage of staff, and there was no policy in place to inspect fire hydrants. So through this whole process, I've gone to almost every single City Council meeting since then, and I brought it up. Every single council meeting. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And I got it solved. This month, one of our unpaid council members and our new public works director are going to be fixing those fire hydrants and inspecting them. Moving forward, I want to work with the new public works director and put a policy in place to make sure these get inspected every year. I think it's super important. So this issue was super important to me, and I stood by it. I went to every council meeting. They helped to the best they could, but I realized I could help more. I could be the person helping them make those inspection sheets. I could be the person finding out how to actually order those parts that they needed, because I didn't have anyone even to do that for a while. So that's what I want to do. I want to be that voice for you. I want you to be able to come to me with an issue that's important to you, and I will stand by it and work until the issue is resolved, whatever that may be. I'm not going to say they're all going to get done, but I will say however that issue gets resolved. Okay? Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jana Bledsoe, and I'm also running for position number 3. This is my 3rd time running, and usually I bring prepared remarks and a bottle of water because my throat gets dry. But I'm 52 and never know when I have to go to the bathroom. So, I agree with Mary Jo that we need to be able to listen to you. I mean, I have my own ideas of what I'd like to bring. There's about 5 big ones. But beyond that, if whatever I can accomplish, I hope it's because someone else has stepped up and had an idea, and I said, you know what, this gets moved down to the bottom of the list because this idea is better. But I also want to be able to tell people, no, I'm sorry, that can't happen, and explain to you why, and be honest with you up front. I don't want to go around and try to appease every single person I talk to. I want to tell you how it is and tell you why we can't do it, and maybe work with you to try to find a solution to get through that. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the business professional women for the honor and privilege of being here. I'd also like to thank everyone else here today for showing up and taking interest in our community government. For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Gabriel Beckling. I'm the current Assistant Chief of Fire District 13. I was born and raised on the foothills of Mount Elizabeth, just north of town. I'm the proud father of 3 great children. My 2 oldest are graduates of Republic, and the youngest is currently a junior at Curlew High School. Though I've lived beyond these mountains, this is a place I've always called home. Last week I was asked what made me qualified to be the mayor of Republic. I hadn't thought a lot about it up till then, but this question has since consumed me. You're never really as ready as you'd like to be for anything new in life. There's many unknowns, and unknowns can be scary. However, my experience has been that surrounding yourself with the right people and a belief that you can succeed, anything is possible, and solutions are at hand. To get to the qualified part, in the 2nd grade, I had gotten in trouble on the playground. Ms. Fletcher gave me a talk regarding my actions and how I needed to be aware of my choices, as I was a leader. I professed I didn't want to be a leader. I was in trouble for throwing the first stone, though someone else had got caught. I guess she saw something in me I hadn't found yet. At 19, I was an engine boss with crewmates almost triple my age. At 21, I started my own construction business. I've led crews on multi-million-dollar projects while working one-on-one to build someone's dream. I excel at being part of a team, whether leading or following. Finding people's assets, strong suits, and what motivates them is what takes a team from being average to unstoppable. I can talk of water tanks, sewer lines, and chlorination systems, but I'll finish with this. If elected as your mayor, I'll do my utmost to bring integrity to the office, to foster a workplace where people want to show up, work hard, and feel valued, to be fiscally responsible, to be available for one-on-one conversations, and to bring the most value from your hard-earned tax dollars to maintain and improve Republic's infrastructure. I've been shown a tremendous amount of grace by this community, and the only way I can begin to repay it is with a life dedicated to the service of the community I call home.
Lovely applause, that's very polite. Stop it. So I'm going to ask this of each of you. I'm going to start with you, Gabriel. Why are you running for this? Actually, I'm just going to ask this part of the question. What skills do you bring?
Well, I kind of outlined them there, but I can find solutions, and I can put pieces in place where I have a can-do attitude, I guess, is the biggest thing. You know, I don't know, I don't have all the answers. I stepped up because there wasn't people banging on the door to be mayor, and it's a spot that needs to be filled. So.
So, best I can tell, running a city is a lot like running a business. And now I have experience running two. The first one was not a restaurant, but it was much more interesting. It was more on the retail end. And the other one has been Republic Pizza, and I don't know if you know the history about it, but it was started by Jeff and Ann Agent years back. Jeff and Ann were very impressed with the way we turned around that restaurant. We had happy customers, we had satisfied, happy employees, and we did right. And that was, we tripled the sales of that business in very short time. And you can take similar approach to the city. That's one skill I have, and I'm good at that. The other skill is leadership and experience. I spent 9 years in the Army, and you work with a lot of people, you work with a lot of different people, and nothing gets done unless you work together. And I can tell you right now, everyone on the city council I can work with. So that's what I bring.
Skills. Well, I was an HR safety manager for 12 to 14 years, working with about 600-700 employees. So I understand WACs, I understand RCWs, paperwork does not scare me. Being in HR, I understand there's difference of opinions. I'm loud, I can be tenacious about something that matters to me. I don't give up. And I think that's pretty much me right there.
Loud and tenacious. I thought you were talking about me there for a second. Skipping around here a little bit. Let's do something different. How do you propose increasing city revenue without raising taxes?
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that. That's something that has to be talked about with city council, mayor, you guys. People need to show up to meetings. Tell us what you want. Tell us your ideas. City council does not have all the answers. We need to hear from you in order to come up with those answers. I think we can ask other cities what they've done, but I don't, without raising taxes, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one.
I'd like to speak ill of taxes, but honestly, we need revenue for the things that the city needs and for the improvements it needs and for the looking forward to the future. I know during the hospital board section, there was a lot of reference to senior citizens and our older population. Well, over the years that I've been here, I've noticed that a lot of younger people are moving here too, and a lot of kids, and they need things to do, and those things take money and they will take time. The skate park we have across the street that's being built, me and a couple other people got the ball rolling on that fundraising 4 or 5 years ago. And now it's actually coming to fruition. So with the city, the best thing to do is to just say, this is what we need, this is how we need to tax you, this is what we hope to accomplish with it, and this is our plan on how to spend it. Basically, if you want a tax increase, you gotta sell it to people. You gotta show this is gonna benefit you in the long run. This is the tree you plant that someone else is going to find shade under.
I think the easiest way would be increase the revenue of the businesses, right? They pay a percentage. If we promote tourism and bring more people in, then the city will have more budget without having to increase taxes.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
I like that one. Okay, Dave, if elected, how much time will you commit to the city since you have another full-time job?
Before I put my name on the ballot, I talked with my boss about this, and I'll put as much time as it takes to get on solid footing for me to feel comfortable. I have the privilege of being able to shift my hours, come in late, work late. In the summers, I have Fridays off, so I can work on Fridays if I put more time in with the city. If I have to, I'll use my holiday pay, my vacation pay, to do what needs to be done. And my boss said this is, in this community, we wear a lot of hats, right? And it's a civil service, and he understands that and has my back.
All right. This is kind of a two-parter. Will you stand behind decisions made at council meetings, or will you just quit when things get difficult? And will you speak up, even if you aren't the majority in the council meetings?
It's a good question. I mentioned it before, I'm not a quitter. I'm tenacious, I will stick to something. I'm also not the most popular person in the room all the time. I'm probably the loudest most of the time, but I'm not all the time the most popular. So I won't quit. I will stick to what needs to be done.
Thank you for putting out the rule.
Can you repeat the question really quick?
Yeah.
You stand behind decisions made at council meetings, will you quit if things get difficult? Yes and no.
I'd like to say that I stand behind the decisions made, but sometimes you end up getting more information or a new understanding, and you might have a difference of opinion later. So, that's open to change depending on the information that you have and how that changes. Yeah, I'll speak up. So I, sitting on the council right now, it's hard being a new person on there to speak up when you don't feel like that you haven't been there long enough to have all the information, right? So rather than putting your foot in your mouth or making a decision that you can't sleep with at night. Sometimes it's easier to stay quiet and gather information and go out and talk to the people of the community before you have more of a voice.
And this one's for you, Gabe. Often city council meetings devolve into shouting matches, with much of the shouting coming from behind the desk. What will you do as mayor to bring order to council meetings?
Well, I've been in many shouting matches in my life, and I'd like to think that if I didn't have to be a part of another one for the rest of my life, that would be okay with me. And it's hard to have a meaningful, respectful conversation when there's shouting going on. Me personally, I shut down when somebody starts yelling at me, and I would like to think that, as adults, that we can communicate without having to resort to yelling.
This is for all three of you. How can we attract businesses to Republic and fill empty downtown storefronts?
Gina answer this one first. I keep picking on it.
Yep, no, that's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
There we go.
You need to make Republic attractive to people to invest their money, to invest their time, to invest their forever home, whatever you can to attract people who want to do something different, something new. They want to try something out for the first time in their life. Hey, I want to take a stab at this kind of business. And you know what? Republic, it's a really small town. I don't have to have a big store, and I can afford to take this chance. And I know the people here. I can ask them what they want. You need to make it attractive. The biggest problem we have is we have old buildings, and we don't take care of them. We have roads that don't get the potholes filled. We need to make this a place where people want to come, stay, and invest their time and money and effort into, and not worry about bickering or the latest rumor. So we need better things to do other than feed into rumor mills and gossip.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Actually,
Please.
did I give it to you, Gina?
You gave it to me, so I can-
Sorry. How can we attract businesses to Republic and fill empty downtown storefronts?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
It's okay. Here, Joe.
It's a tough one.
Thank you. I'm with Gabe. There's not a lot of money out there for people to be opening businesses right now. And if you open one in Republic, what are the odds it's going to succeed? Making Republic more attractive is better, but people need money. We need a stable economy, and we don't have that right now. So I don't know the answer to that either. I'm with Gabe.
I do have one thing.
Oh, sure.
If that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Just making it a clean, friendly place to stay that businesses want to come, Like I see people knotted out in their vehicles at the library and nothing's being done about it, right? And if you're somebody that's traveling through as a tourist and you see that on your city street, that's not a place that you're going to want to come, move, keep your kids, raise a family, start a business. So I think just keeping the face of Republic clean and inviting is the biggest thing that we can do.
Yeah, I have something else here tonight. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Wasted time. Sorry about that.
All right, I'm going to do one final question here, and it's maybe two. But do me a favor and try to be brief. What do you think the difference is? What do you think the difference is between the city council and the mayor's office?
The mayor is in charge of employees, city council makes policy. Okay. Was that brief enough?
That was, I love it. Great.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
Okay, that was so easy.
Yep.
Hold that thought.
How do you handle it when people disagree with your decisions? And should we ask your partner? Should we? Oh, sorry.
Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I have the right to be wrong. I've been wrong a million times in my life, and I'm sure I'm not done. But gathering more information so that you can understand their point of view or where they're coming from, I guess, is the long and short of it.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead. Gina, why don't you take it?
Wow, there's a mixed answer on that one. Generally, I have no problems disagreeing with someone as long as we can be civil about it. I don't allow people to impose their opinion on me. I get shamed into it. I can't be coerced. I can't be bribed. I can't be sweet talked. I am a pretty solid standard person as far as what my values are, what I believe in. I believe that everything that I'm entitled to, other people are entitled to as well. And that includes respect and dignity and at times a lack of violence. So but I'm not afraid to stand my ground. And that can definitely be said. But I do appreciate much more the ability to talk to someone I disagree with and at least come to some middle ground or some kind of terms. And if I can accomplish that, that is truly an accomplishment that I want to be proud of.
I'm gonna need the question again. Sorry.
Me too, please.
Oh, what do you do when people disagree with you?
Jim? I guess it depends on the subject. If it's in defense of somebody else, I will fight to the death for the defense of somebody else. If I'm working to keep the people in my house safe, I will argue that point a million times. If I want to hear your opinion, if it's something we can work out, I absolutely want to work it out. I guess it depends on how much it matters, how big a deal it is for me. I agree everyone deserves respect and all that, but I will fight, yeah. I like a good argument.
Well, please give these good folks a round of applause. All right, now we would like the candidates for school board, please. Thank you.
Recognize any of my constituents here.
Well, that's all right. You can take it. So we have Barbara Bradshaw, Rochelle Osborne.
I think these are questions. Yeah.
So, one more. Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
Is Aaron, I thought Aaron Grady was here. I don't see him. Okay. I know what he looks like. I don't think there's a single person that could be from here. Oh, all right. But I can talk to him. Okay. Maybe there are.
So the way this works is that each of you will get 3 minutes to speak to the group. You don't have to take the entire 3 minutes. Catherine is in the back with her time, and when you have a minute to go, she will wave at you. And when it's time, when your time is out, she will wave at me to take the microphone away. Okay? Forgot to hit military, Amy, sorry.
And would you just say which position you're running for? Thank you.
My name's Danny Olson, running for position 3 school board. I was born here. I was actually born in the old hospital down on Main Street. I worked at the sawmill, the woods, the mine. Been here my whole life. I went to school here, just trying to step up, for I don't know, just a little bit of a change or whatever. I am currently, my project is shooting sports for 4-H. My kids done really well this year for the fair. Started out ground zero. I've coached off and on the league since about 3 or so. Still active in the Eagles, not necessarily here, but the state part of it. I'm on committees for cancer, Alzheimer's, you name it, all the national ones. Done several fundraising events around here, like the K9 that we used to have. So, yeah, I'm running for position 3 school board.
I'm Amy Rucker. I'm currently on the school board. I am the chair. I've been on the school board for 4 years. I was vice chair under Travis Fletcher. I have lived here for, 16 years. I used to work for Leschwell for 18 years. Been at the sheriff's office 8 years. I'm the chief civil deputy, evidence technician, custodian. And sorry for the underdressing. I just got done with junior high volleyball. I was actually supposed to be at a game today. So this is our last week, so I'm not gonna leave my girls. They are amazing kids. Pretty much a part of the school inside and out. We work great together as a board. Pretty much everybody in this room knows who I am and talks to me frequently. I'm here for the students, for the kids, and I want to continue on with that.
So I'm Michelle Osborne, and I'm running for school board district position number 2. I moved here about 11 years ago to be closer to my grandparents. I work for the Ferry County Lead Board. I'm a coordinator, and I've been in that position for about 10 years. I ran for school board because I have 2 really small kids that are in the school district, and I feel like we could do more and offer more to our kids coming from a big district. I grew up in Moses Lake, and I went to school there my entire time, and it's a 4A school. While my grandparents lived up here, I did attend Republic for a short period of time, and I feel like I want more from my kids.
Perfect, thank you.
I don't think there's anybody here that can even vote for me. Oh, we have one that has a child. You can vote for me. Yeah. I'm a current school board member, and I don't know what my strengths are. I handle money well, but I was a graduate. I graduated in 1972. That's been 50 years ago. And I just feel like I need to give back to the community. And I was elected last time without running against anyone, and before that I volunteered because somebody dropped out, and Brad Miller, which probably most people know who he is, said, you could do this job. Some of the people I talk to say, you have a strength in that you don't have any children in the school, you don't have any relatives in the school, but you care about the school. So I can work for everybody, because the parents who are active in their kids' lives, their kids are going to do okay. But there are parents that aren't active in their kids' life, and they need somebody to speak for them too, because they get left out sometimes. And I feel like we've done some pretty good things just since I've been there for 3 years. And I wrote down what everybody was saying. Stable staffing. Jeez, that's the hardest thing. It takes more energy to get somebody new in, and you never know if they're going to work out with the dynamics of the people involved. And we are small communities, and the dynamics do have to work. And if you go to any of the volleyball or football or basketball games in Curlew, I'm the crazy lady who knits while I'm watching the games. We've been up here, we lived in Florida most of our life, and we've been up here since '07, and so I know a lot of the people in town. I recognize last names, but I don't recognize faces, and I'm sure they don't recognize my last name or my face either. Doris, I think, knows both of my sisters and my mom and dad, and I get called by all 3 of the girls' names, and I answer to them. But anyway, I'm just feel like I can do a good job for the school. Well, Mrs. Beal knows me. She was a teacher at one time. I think I had her for English in high school or something. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Like over 50 years. I don't remember. Anyway, that's who I am. I live outside of Curlew, and I go to all the home games, but I do not drive a lot at night to go to all the away games because I'm not that crazy. If I had a grandchild, I probably would. I only have granddaughters.
I love that. So let me give you this question. Actually, this is one for everyone. What is your experience balancing multi-million-dollar budgets? Please be specific.
Mostly it's the Curlew School, but my husband and I have invested money and done things and whatnot. And I worked with my garden club in Florida for a lot, and I was originally a cashier, and then a bookkeeper, and then office manager in a very large jewelry store. It's really fun to check in stuff at Christmas time.
I'm going to give that to Rochelle, please. Budget experience, Rochelle?
So I wouldn't say it's multi-million, but I do have to budget the weed board's budget, and for several years we did well without increasing the assessment, and we're able to be awarded grants and contracts, and I don't think the amount really matters. I think you need to see where the money is coming in and where it's going out and make it balanced.
So I currently, for 8 years, have assisted the sheriff in the jail. We deal with way over $1 million in our budgeting. And then I also maintain probably about 5 different federal grants. Been doing it for over 8 years. Plus I was part owner of Tim Starkrose. And I was also the sales and service for Les Schwab for many years and had to also help budget with Les Schwab. I work very well with our district office. Currently in our school district, we have a great staff, and definitely understanding where that money goes to and making sure that money goes back to the kids.
I currently am holding a 3rd-year trustee for the Eagles, the Washington State part of it. What we deal with is grants that we got to look through, and then we vote on them and pay that. We also have a budget that we've got to keep for our past president or president or secretary for traveling around and doing visitations and stuff. We also have to keep track of where the money's coming from and where it's going. I also too am to kind of change the name on it. to kind of sort of find the right combination to make things work. I haven't had to close one yet. I've been doing that for about 4 years. I've pretty much changed Longview. I'm working with Grand Coulee right now. They're improving. I also deal with Liquor Board, Gambling Commission, to make sure that they're profitable and staying on their guidelines on that. And I'm starting off on this adventure with the 4-H here for shooting sports, and pretty much started out with 0, and we're starting to get a little bit of a budget and put in for grants and stuff. So yeah, that's my experience on that. And it is very close to $1 million that I work with for the Eagles.
Okay. We've not wrapped you up in this board.
Do you believe in banning books, whether it's for religious reasons or otherwise? And if so, which ones? We're going to start with Amy.
Do you believe in banning books? And if you do, why? I'm switching these two questions together.
Oh,
They're about the same question.
no. We want to keep books and the libraries active in our school. That's what we've been working on. Our students do have Chromebooks 1-to-1. However, a lot of the teachers still bring in the books to the school, and we will continue to do that. It's been a push. We push it all as a board. We work as one. They definitely get some Chromebook time on the computers. However, no, there will be no banning of books.
Should you pass the mic and questions too, Michelle wants to take another look at them.
It'd be nice to know what books they were referring to, but no, I mean, I read To Kill a Mockingbird in high school, and I don't see an issue with that one.
I'd have to have a really, really, really compelling reason to ban a book. There's just too many variables, and it's not my job to tell other people. If certain parents don't want their kids to read a certain book, that's their business, but it's not the school's business. We have had teachers, last year I think the English department sent around a list of books that they were planning on buying to put in the library. And the school board members were given the opportunity to just say, are any of these terrible? And we all decided, no, none of these are terrible.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
It was unanimous.
All right. Do you believe in educating students in life skills like sex education and financial health? Please explain.
Michelle, I'm going to start with you. Reread the question, please.
Do you believe in educating students in life skills like sex ed and financial health? And explain. I believe in this to a certain degree, reaching at a certain age. I don't think that my kindergartner needs to learn about sex ed. But I do believe that I took health class as a 9th grader in my school, and I do think that it's important. At one of the board meetings that I attended, I think kids were excited about getting like a home ec class offered, and I was kind of sad that we didn't offer that before. But so I would say yes, but with some qualms.
Which way do you want? Go ahead. Give it to Barbara.
I agree with them. We have to have some sex education, but it needs to be very, very age appropriate. And that's the biggest thing. As far as the life skills, we do have, of course, we don't have the home economics like we used to have in the good old days. No sewing machines, or wrenches, or dishwasher, anything. But we do have a financial life skills class and an applied mathematics class that I think is really, really important, because sometimes kids get started out in life when somebody tells them how much fun it is to get a credit card.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with being age appropriate for the sex education somewhere up in their high school. The home ec, I think that's kind of a must. I sure do appreciate the school board for keeping the shop and that open for like trade skills. I think that's very important. I also, the shop teacher, he goes way out of his way for the kids, for his classroom. But I do believe that we should probably bring back home ec and business like it used to be here. We had, you know, accounting and that kind of like stuff. And in the class, I was actually in a future business people or whatever when I was in high school, and that kind of helped me out throughout. So, and I'm getting a sign up there. I must be talking too slow.
It's all right.
So being on the school board, I can actually answer this. We do offer this, for those of you who don't know. Our junior high and high school are actually given this opportunity with many new teachers in our school. They actually do have health appropriate that we have approved as a board. Life skills, they are getting taught how to balance a checkbook, and we do have a version of home ec. So we've already engaged that this year, and we will continue to move forward with that to make sure these kids get the best education with this.
All right, so I'm going to start down here with you, Barbara, on this question. What would you see as the first action taken by a school board if a child identified as transgender?
Well, it's actually happened, and it usually happens on Facebook, which I don't even do. And I find out about it at a board meeting. We accept people where they are. I don't even care if it's just a fad. We accept people how they are. We call them by the pronouns they want.
Yes, go ahead, Rochelle.
I don't feel this is a school board issue.
Nor do I.
Actually, I agree with the other two.
They're people.
Yeah, people are the people. I mean, I've got a special needs kid myself, and yeah, people are people. You gotta accept who they are.
All right, what is the most difficult policy issue currently facing the school board, and what will you do about it?
I've been to a couple school board meetings the last couple months, and I think we have a little bit of, I don't know, starting of an issue of class sizes and help. And the school board is kind of working on it, but it's, I don't know, they're not necessarily, it didn't seem like they were kind of active in it, of trying to find help for parapros, some of the IEP students and that kind of stuff. I would sure like to change that, have our sped teachers or sped students have a little bit more say to, you know, or have a voice anyways, so.
So being on the school board, there are several struggles that we do have. We try to tackle the policies the best we possibly can. Are we short-staffed in some areas? Absolutely. Is the school and the district office reaching out every day? Do we know that we need to probably put in a few more paras, get some qualified teachers, but the key term is qualified and certified teachers, especially for main core classes. And that is what we've been about. We're changing the safety in the school. I think the parents have been very respectful about that. The one main issue is vaping. It is horrible right now with teens and a lot of kids. And that's something that we have to tackle every single day. We're working on it, and we're trying to build better school. And it's gone immensely incredible the last 4 years. It's increased. Our enrollment with a lot of our parent partners is 415 students. That's probably the highest that we've been in a long time. And we are taking care of those kids the best that we possibly can. And so we'll keep tackling one policy at a time.
I have not delved into the school's policy to see where issues lie. I know as a lead board we have a policy that I read because I have to follow it, but I have not looked into school policy and where the issues lie there. As far as vaping, I don't know that you're ever going to get rid of it. When I was in high school, it was boys chewing.
Right at the moment, I can't think of any big policy we have a problem with. We did find some structural problems with our building and had to hire an engineer and apply for grant money and do a whole bunch of stuff, but it's really important to keep the building sound and not let it fall down around our ears. We've got a lot of good things going at Curlew. We have the community and the schools liaison who helps with, she has generally anywhere from 5 to 10 children that have specific needs at home that she works with to coordinate with parents and stuff so that they get everything they need at school. Some of them just don't get enough to eat. And we're working really hard at advocating for kids that are not college bound and for those that are college bound. We've actually had a couple students that graduated with their AA degree, all paid for by the school district, by the way. And we coordinate with the Job Corps with some of the hands-on skills. And we have a new gentleman, he's not new, he was raised here. I knew him when he was little. Louis Miller, who is handling the CTE classes at the, and he's certified in 7 different things and trying to do some great things. He wanted to build a shed, but 2 of the juniors in high school don't know how to read a tape measure.
All right, now we're gonna go for the 1-minute bonus round. Oh, okay, you ready?
This is about parental engagement. You get 1 minute to answer this question because I'm running way over time. Parental engagement in public education has become an issue at the national level. Can you please describe your thoughts and feelings about parental engagement in our school district in 1 minute?
Our school doesn't have that problem. Our parents come right up to us and tell us what they think, and they show up to things and they participate, and we thoroughly encourage the parents to come and participate because we don't know what they want if they don't tell us.
So I would say this is why I ran for school board. And I think it's extremely important to have parents involved with what's going on with their children in the school. And I think communication is key to that aspect. So I think we should have more parents come to our school board meetings and more parents reach out and talk to school board members.
I second Rochelle. That is why I run for school board, is I want to make an improvement in the students' lives and get more parent engagement. We've been struggling with it as a district to get more parent engagement. We've had family fun nights. We're working more with that with RIAC, CIS, which is Community in Schools. They're doing great programs with the kids. We have weekend bites that go home to the families every, oh, we're not doing it anymore? Okay, thank you. But there is a lot more that we're doing with the kids. We have a STAC program. We have RIAC. It's continuing to grow, and the parents are getting more and more involved, but we still want to reach those milestones to get more involvement with parents and speak out.
I think the participation in your children is a must, and trying to get more people into it's just kind of it's actually an epidemic everywhere. If you go to a city hall meeting, there's not really a whole lot of people there. You go to the commissioners meeting unless it's something that is a hot topic at the time. It's usually tumbleweeds out there in the parking lot. And going to the school board meetings this last few months or whatever, it's the same way. I mean, it's trying to it's the communities, you know, we need to reach out to the communities to see if we can get more participation into these meetings, and that's one of the reasons why I'm running for the position 3.
Thank you. And thank you all for putting up with the microphone.
Thank you all, and please give them a round of applause. And we have 2 more candidates for Fire District, Richard and who's here? We'll get you up here, we'll ask some questions, and then there's a really good stuff waiting for you all at the back of the room. So for those people who didn't get all their questions answered, we hope the candidates will stick around and help us do that. Richard, come on up. Bill, come on up.
Should we just wrestle? Yeah, right.
That's right, this was the arm wrestling part you wanted.
Yeah, that was thinking we could just arm wrestle. All right, moves.
All right, 3 minutes.
Most people know me in here. I'm Bill Ackerson. I'm asking our district community to help retain me by writing me in. I've had the honor to serve as fire commissioner for District 13 nearly 2 years now. And due to unrising circumstances, I was unable to have my name placed on the ballot, not by my own accord. I've been part of this community many years with Grace Christian School that I'm currently the president on right now. Been part of EMS for over 10 years. I've given that up since, but and then miscellaneous youth stuff as my kids grew up. I think it's important to be part of your community, you know, and volunteering wherever you can. I have been proud resident of Ferry County since 1983 and have raised a family here since 1989. I've had the great privilege of serving the residents of this fine community for nearly 3 decades, and I have proudly served District 13. During the time, I have served as a volunteer firefighter, assistant chief, and fire chief, and now fire commissioner. Over the course of my career, I've developed a great knowledge and understanding of any and all issues our volunteers and firefighters and organizations have become aware of and are faced with along with the district they support. I've had the honor of volunteering with my fellow firefighters and have developed strong relationships, foundations, and healthy problem-solving skills to assist our firefighters and local community properties. I feel it is important to have the past experience as a volunteer and a chief to have a better understanding to help our volunteers. Issues important to me are firefighter safety, funding, and our community. So please help me to continue to serve you as fire commissioner for Ferry Okanogan Fire District 13 Position 2. By writing in Bill Ackerson as your Ferry Okanogan Fire District 13 Position 2 person.
Thank you. Please pass that to Richard.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to put my name out there for the Ferry County Fire District 13. I started I think this is my 6th year. I started with the fire department when we had the big fire, and have been involved with that. I had previous years firefighting on wildlands, operating equipment and falling timber, and things like that. I would like your vote for commissioners, just because I want to make a difference. I want to, there's some ideas that I have that are probably different than our commissioners, and I would like to try to implement them, or at least have my say in those things, and see how things fall. It's really important. I know we're gonna run out of time, I think. Our number one job is lives. Houses are important, product is important, but lives are the most important thing. And that's what we need to be focusing on as far as our equipment and and the things that we need to be able to do our job well. And that's what I would like to be able to obtain to the best we can. That's what I'm interested in doing. Thank you.
I'm just going to stand between the two of you. Marcy, you're standing behind you, but this way it might make the microphone a little bit easier.
First question is, what difference would you make as being a fire commissioner versus if you were not the commissioner?
Well, one of the things that would make, how I would like to make a difference is, a good example to me is the old system of, I'm trying to think of the name of it, with our extrication tools, that's all dealt with hydraulics. They make a whole new system now that is battery operated. You can grab out of a truck, get down, and deal with an issue. Right now, we have antique equipment that we don't know if they're going to start. The motor's going to start to get the jaws of life working. And I have worked to get a grant to change that, but there's been some roadblocks, and I would like to take away some of those roadblocks by being part of the decision process. And that's one of the ways I would. And we have probably 10 firefighters that are trained in those tools, but we don't have those tools. We need to get those tools on hand because, for example, in the time that I've been on the fire department, we have had 3 different vehicle situations that we were able to make a difference in somebody's life. House fires, I have not had, most of them, the people have been out. We have not been in that situation, but we need to have good extrication equipment in the fire department. And and that's just part of what the process we need to work on. But that's just an example.
What difference would you make as being a fire commissioner versus if you were not the commissioner?
Well, over my years, one of the things we dealt with between EMS and fire, there used to be a wall between us. They didn't help us, we didn't help them. And to me, that kind of goes along without me being a fire commissioner and with me being a fire commissioner, because over that years, between me and my wife and other EMS personnel and fire, we've taken down some of those walls that we are actually working together now. And it's just here in the last 4 years, I want to say, where we've actually been working with the extrication part of it, because EMS used to handle that, and I believe they shouldn't be. But with their umbrella, we are working with them. And to me, that's a critical point, because we should be out there working with them so people have that life-saving ability right away and not later. And not this good old buddy system, we don't do that.
The fire district is an all-volunteer outfit. What is your experience leading a diverse crew of volunteers?
Repeat that one more time. Well, my experience has been, I guess, the 27 years I've been doing this, that we've all been hands-on, learning with each other, and to me, it's, as a commissioner, it's critical to have those years experience, 27 years, and to me, I felt I made a difference working with the team and working with the guys to keep them safe, plus also goes along with the lines that it's an election spot through our officers, our volunteer firefighters, and they felt that I was in that leadership role a few times because I did 4 years fire chief, and then 4 years assistant chief. Years went by and they asked me to be chief again. So to me, it's hard to explain it in words, but I feel that the crew has believed in me over those years to be a leadership role.
If you just pass that to Richard, please. You want to pass him the questions, too, please. Thank you very much.
Well, to be honest, I haven't been fire chief, but I have worked with the crews and show up on the fires and work with a very diverse bunch of people. But when it comes to the fire grounds, we're one team. And but as far as, no, I have not been fire chief, and Bill has more years on that for sure. And I gotta commend Bill, but I mean, and all of our volunteers. I mean, our past commissioners, our past folks that have put this all together, what we have now is just amazing. And I'm just here to try to help the best I can.
As we all know, training is essential to the safety of personnel and our citizens. How will you ensure the department has a budget for training? How will you recruit and retain highly qualified personnel?
As far as recruiting personnel, I have been involved with starting our cadet program. We have 2 high schoolers that we're just getting started with that. And so that's one way I really would like to encourage our young people, you know, if they're 16 and still in school, you know, that's a good chance to get them started. And if we get a chance to get them involved, it also gives them a chance to possibly have a career somewhere else. So I think it's very important that we get our young people involved. I don't know what the other part of that question was.
How will you recruit, which might be?
And as far as the training goes, training, since I started, when I asked if I could be part of the fire department, I was told that training was essential, and that if I want to be part of the fire department, I need to show up for training all the time. And so I took that to heart, and that's what I do. I think it's very important that we require people to show up for training, because when we, again, show up at a house that is on fire or a vehicle, we need to know what to do, and we need to know who's beside us. And we need to know if we're going to go into a house, that that person that's got our back is going to be able to go in there and be with us. And the only way we know that is if we're in training with them on a regular basis. Training is essential. We don't get to fight too many fires. So we have to learn by training. It's our only way. So that's the answer to that. Training is top.
I have to agree with Richard. Training is very essential. One of the things we didn't know we were part of it up until 5 years ago, that we're part of the Board of Volunteer Firefighters, and they have a yearly training in Wenatchee. And it was one of the things I helped kick off when I was chief, that we started sending 10 to 15 guys there. And this last year, we were actually presented an award for being a small community where we're sending a large group of men down there to do an awesome training. It's one I try to recommend to all of our firefighters, and I think the essential thing, training is the #1 thing to make our firefighters safe. Recruiting, I just try to tell people, because we're not about the money with our districts, it's about helping your community, getting out there. I try to talk to people all the time. Come part of our fire district. You know, it's something you feel good about. You know, so that's the best we can do as a volunteer. I know in many situations we're losing volunteers for anything. And I just try to get people to understand volunteer is our infrastructure on everything.
What do you think is the greatest fire threat to our community, and what would you do about it?
Well, honestly, a bunch of these electric cars are becoming a huge fire threat. And some of it's our wildland. I think we need to be fire-wise in our own community, within the community, on going out and making things, what's the word I'm looking for? The safe distance around your homes. We all take part in being safe in our community for our fires. It's not just your firemen, it's our community that takes involvement in that, and making the area safe around us, and being diligent to our force and everything else, and maintaining them. I think that's a big critical part.
Yeah, I would agree with Bill as far as it's our wildlands, our getting things prepared, getting stuff away from our houses, and just being proactive. And as far as if we have a fire, to get there and get them out. You know, keep them small. Do not second guess things. Just get it done. I think that that's the most important part of this whole process. But then the other thing is, like Bill said, the education of, you know, getting things cleaned up around your houses. You know, seeing some of the small underbrush and stuff get cleaned up. Thinking about what are we going to do if we do have a fire that's coming in? Do we have some fire breaks? That was one of the things I was able to work on in our last fire, is being able to line out a fire break. And luckily we didn't have it come up that far, but that was part of the process. And that's still in existence to be able to use. That was agreed upon with the landowners and things. So anyways, those wildland fire is our biggest threat, I do believe. Yeah.
This is practically a yes or no question, so we'll give a minute for it.
Will the fire department help with the inspection of hydrants? And if your answer is no, they want to know why not.
The fire department already inspects hydrants, but it's not our job to maintain those. That's the city's job to maintain. We are volunteers. In our training, we go out, we test hydrants, we flag them. That's why you see some of them flagged already. We're already doing the work, but we're doing that on our own time, and it's the city's job to maintain those hydrants. All we can do is give them the information. Although we have done a little bit of it just to make sure we had hydrants.
I agree with Richard on that, but also we do dedicate our time, like you said, checking hydrants. But I spent 2 days with the insurance inspector that came up, and we went to every hydrant and inspected them. So yes, there are times we give up our time, but I do know we are volunteer. We do have our day-to-day jobs, but we do try to help out with the city when they need it. And the hydrant has been our big priorities, and checking them constantly. And we've given the city numerous times lists of hydrants that have needed fixed, and sometimes that's dropped.
This is, I think we can give you about 30 seconds.
Okay.
What circumstances prevented you from filing on time?
It was my understanding, I thought I was in the 6-year role, my deal, and it turned out I was filling out, I was finishing out a term of 2, and I had no idea, and I never received an email reference to it, so I missed that deadline. But once I did find out, I did everything I can, and I've been pushing to still be in this seat because I enjoy it and love doing it.
I love this question. It's a great way to end our evening. Gentlemen, what are 3 positive things that you can say about your opponent?
Well, I can say this much. Richard takes a good volleyball right to the face. We've both been big parts of this community, I have to say. I mean, we've actually been around each other for quite a few years with our youth here in the community, and been involved with a lot of things together, so, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't joking about the wrestling. It could go either way as far as who becomes commissioner. I've worked with Bill on with helping with building the youth center in town. I've worked with Bill for several years, volunteering, watching the kids that were at the youth center. Bill's been involved with the EMS. I have no knowledge of that. He's very up on that, and I think he's an amazing man, to tell you the truth. So I'll just say it that way, and I think he does a good job. I mean, we need people like this in our community, right? Volunteers,
Yep.
and that.
Yep.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you all, the fire department. folks. I really appreciate that. And I want y'all to give yourselves a round of applause. You stuck with us. Thank you very much. There's really yummy stuff on the back table.